What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of my Brandenburg Let's Play. I've got some bad news, guys. Some big bad news. I recorded my entire episode and I want to kill myself, basically, because I was muted the entire time. This job, if you will, this task of recording stuff, man, it's not as easy as it looks, and it's so frustrating, man. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know how I can not change anything on my settings or anything like that and record an episode that I've done like 20, almost 30 times before, and then I realize that I'm just muted. Extremely frustrating. I don't know why that would be the case. It seems like I have to kind of always check beforehand that everything's working because the cost is really annoying. So the only solution that I can come up with, guys, is I'm basically looking at the recorded footage and I'm going to play it here. So as you can see, I'm playing the game, but instead of actually being able to hear the footage, I'm going to be doing this voiceover, essentially, which is really annoying. And also, it's probably going to make the video quality on this episode look worse, as it's been twice rendered, essentially. You can see here that I'm debating whether I should tech up with my admin or actually take the devoutness idea. And I did decide I wanted the devoutness idea. The papal influence that you get, the +2 yearly papal influence as a Catholic, is really good. We're sitting at 0 stability, and soon, hopefully, I want to be using my admin almost exclusively on just expanding rapidly. I mean, that will most likely be after the Protestant League War and after we've recovered from that. But yeah, I don't really want to be using any admin boosting stability if that can be avoided. So here I'm just talking about how our economy is in much better shape. We're losing 8 ducats a month while overextended. Of course, we'll have a much better economy while that it's around 80, just under 80 overextension disappears. But even with the -8, having a surplus of 3k ducats is pretty good. So I was talking about how I wanted to go to war against the Palatinate, who recently converted Protestant. But first, we will deal with the rebels in Novgorod, because I'm a little bit worried about him. Denmark and Bohemia seem to be alternating the leadership of the Protestant League, depending on who is sort of involved with a war. And Bohemia takes priority as he is an elector. But if he does get involved in a war like we saw him, where Silesia was released, Denmark takes the reins. I guess that Bohemia is probably an easier nation for us to potentially siege up his capital and really war exhaust him, because we don't have to worry about the navy. Here I'm talking about if we declare on Trier, or rather the Palatinate, we can take the province of Trier and convert it to Catholic and then release it as a free Catholic member of the empire, and he will join the Catholic League, it will seem, like most nations do when we release them. He's also allied to Ulm, so if we were to go in and fight that war, we could convert Ulm to Catholic as well. Here I think I was talking about look at the Permian rebels who have defected from Muscovy. He's actually doing really badly, because we can see there, and I think that's Nizhny Novgorod, I think the province, he's had Muscovite particularists, and here we can see that he's actually lost land to rebels already, the Siberian rebels at least, I think. Unless somebody released it from him or so on, but my guess is that it is a rebel action there. But he took land from Oriet, and he's now separate from that land. So Muscovy's in really bad shape, quite frankly. And I was just speculating about how Perm will probably defect from him shortly. I didn't actually realize when it happened, but we've gotten basically full vision of Asia, with the exception of Southeast Asia and Japan. We just discovered Kyoto, though, in 1603 due to that event. And here I was talking about how that seems like it's a rights of man feature or something, how we can actually see the states and territories of how much we own. And I've been a little bit nervous lately, guys, like how my things disappear on my bars and so on. It's a little bit glitchy. I have two iterations of the game actually installed, and even more than you guys might have noticed or seen, there seems to be some kind of crossover between the different installations of the game. I'm really nervous that my run might actually get ruined if my game somehow manages to patch itself, but hopefully that's just being paranoid and that will not actually happen. And we can continue this run, hopefully as normal, where I do not actually ruin even the recording, and I can just record the next few episodes as normal. Here I'm talking about how we have quite some money, and I should probably invest that money into making more money, because our economy is one of our weaknesses right now. We intend to have many more troops manned for the upcoming wars if we can get the manpower. So investing the money that we have now in light ships will hopefully enable us to man those troops. There I was talking about how France is nowhere near as frightening to us as they were in the past, when they actually previously had a victory over us, where it's such a powerful state where we're looking not only comparable, but we could probably smash France now if we invest heavily in the war due to our ideas. But it is the terrible Ottoman Empire, man, in that Protestant League, who is just gargantuan in this game. That Protestant League war is going to be insane. There's no doubt about that. Just some typical rebel activities due to these this overextension that we took from Lithuania. And here I'm talking about how we have some unrest in our heretic provinces, but that's mostly just due to our overextension being so high. And I think here I mentioned that I'm going to keep re-rolling advisors, because I would like the inflation reduction advisor. It's by far the most valuable for us right now, with our inflation sitting at 8 point something. Not very comfortable. We've already reduced our inflation more times than I would have liked this run. I'm just going to accumulate my troops there, because I don't feel perfectly comfortable sending the 27 in against the 28 rebels, even though I'm confident we would win that engagement, because I want it to be really decisive and not cost manpower if it can be avoided. I was just irritated there about how Ulm joined the Protestant League war, joined the Protestant League, even though he's only been Protestant for not long, and I wasn't sure if he was actually in the Catholic League or not. I can't remember. I think he might have been the first nation to actually switch. Global trade there spawns in Roma, which is pretty interesting. I'm really jelly, but unsurprisingly we didn't get it this time, as our trade is not doing so well. But the plus 100 I believe you get to each monarch power makes me really jelly of the Pope. The Pope's actually really powerful this run as well. I'm just talking about how much money it's going to cost us to embrace the global trade. We have some money, but I don't know how long that's going to last at the rate we've been spending our money. And the larger you get, the larger these, what do you call them? Institutes cost to embrace. Still just speculating about the Almanian bastard. Lundberg, of course, here is Catholic. We converted him not long after he joined the Protestant League. So I'm hoping that he kind of behaves in kind. I'm not sure exactly how the details work, but hoping that he will switch from the Protestant League to the Catholic League, as well as the other nations who we've done the same thing to. There's many nations right now, like Frankfurt, who is actually in the league. And here I realize that we have a truce with the Palatinate, which was my target I intended to attack. We've got a long truce with them, in fact. So I decided to basically YOLO it against Saxony, because I was speculating about it earlier, but I thought that's another option we have as an opportunity to declare war. But he is allied to Castile, which would make it much more serious than the war against the Palatinate. But here I decided we basically have nothing else to do, which was productive, because I didn't realize we did have a truce with the Palatinate. So yeah, I definitely decided to just do that rather than nothing at all. So that is exactly what we do. And of course, I was improving my relations with Lundberg, hoping that if he got over 100 relations or something, he would actually change his attitude from hostile and leave the Protestant League. However, we're about to just go to war against him, so there we go. I'm sure that's a really effective way to please him. There I was just comparing forces. They actually have slightly more troops than we do, all in all. But of course, many of those troops are Castile, but also his colonial nations. And Castile was involved with another war when I declared this. There I'm just looking at our truce with Muscovy, which is 6 years. We might be feeding Novgorod into Muscovy again when that truce is up. I'm just speculating here how hilarious it is that as soon as we get involved in a war, everybody just rushes Brabant and gives him hell. I think it might have something to do with the lack of forts that he has on his land, that they can just walk to his capital and get some war score there in the high development provinces. I'm just talking here about how many of the Castilian troops are probably out in the New World. He has finished the other war that he was fighting, but Castile can be a bit of a potato in that way. I'm actually hoping that he is a bit of a potato during the Protestant League War as well, because he has joined the Protestant League. On the other hand, Portugal could be a potato in the same way, having his troops out in the New World, etc., who is in the Catholic League. Unspark doesn't have a fort on his capital, so it's only rank 1, and we're sieging that up, or progressing really nicely there. Well, basically we're mostly just base racing this war, it looks like. They're sieging up Brabant as usual, as all enemies of us do. So that was Unspark forced religion to Catholic. But he's still in the Protestant League, the bastard. And I've completely forgotten about the Inflation Reduction Advisor, which I realize in a moment that we were looking for. Just speculating here about how nasty those fort level 5s and so on are. I'm really going to be putting a lot of our manpower into cannons here when we do gear up for the big wars to come. The enemy's combined troops, they actually have more cannons than we do. I would have more cannons already if I had been more prosperous in these hard times of late. Our allies are really doing a nice job progressing in their sieges as well. That little stack in the Saxony's capital in Dresden, progressing nicely. And I'm going to be annulling alliances with anybody, any member of the Empire with nations outside the Empire, if I can. To make it so that there is peace inside the Empire when we're expanding outward, etc. Our poor subjects' war exhaustion just skyrocketing all the time. Putting my siege general there with a +1 siege into Ulm because it's such a nasty spot. Trying to progress that along as best as we can. This Tamov is Catholic, so just like Lithuania, we're going to have to claim his land. However, Lithuania is fully annexable now. I think he's at 66% war score cost, something around that range. And we can see here that Perm has defected. Perm did in fact defect from Muscovy, so poor Muscovy's in really bad shape. And in a moment, I'm going to realize that Novgorod does have a claim on him. So that's cool, and that's almost certainly going to be the next war that we go in against. I will probably just fully annex him while we can, but that will cost us a little bit of Diplo, but our Diplo is doing well. Right now, I'm just looking at his ideas. I'm thinking about whether we should kind of trade the Novgorod out for the Perm as a subject, which is totally an option. I mean, it's going to cost us Diplo either way to take his land. Could just switch Novgorod out for Perm and integrate Perm. Rather, integrate Novgorod and start feeding Perm, who also has religious ideas. Totally a valid option. That's going to be the first war of our next episode coming after this, so yeah, leave in the comments, guys. Should Novgorod was a bit of a fail. Should we just integrate him? So we're ready to add that land to the Empire and start feeding the Perm Gobert? Is that what we do? Trying to chase down troops here because our war goal is show superiority. And we're going to need some war score to finish this war without dealing with all of Castile's troops. My throat has been so much better lately, guys, but yeah, I've been recording. I planned to just record the one episode and call it quits, but now I'm doing this voiceover as well with all of my wasted breath earlier. So the cough's coming back in. Big fail here this episode today. But what can I do? this goes on for a little while. I'm just talking about how we need to chase down Ulm or somebody to get some war score. And siege back these provinces as well. I'm talking about it's a shame that Ethiopia is getting wrecked here. And I would be willing to go over my Diplo slots if it helped us win the Protestant League War. But there's just so few significant ally options. I'm talking about how we kind of need to stick with that Swedish troop, because combined we are really powerful. But if he gets picked off by Castile, he'll lose us a tremendous amount of war score, and I will be sad. It will make this war be prolonged significantly. Thuringia hires some troops there, which is awesome, because it allows us to get some war score if we can catch them. Or I said Thuringia hires, I believe I mean Saxony hired Thuringian troops. I'm obviously talking about something, guys, but I'm not sure exactly what that is. About hunting down those Thuringians, I suppose. The AI is fairly smart lately, and you will see that they send me through the ringer, just trying to avoid being caught. Ulm is forced Catholic once again. That's not the first time I've forced him Catholic. And the Empire is set up really nicely, in fact, for the future. There's quite a few members of the Empire, and they're almost entirely Catholic nowadays. Here I'm talking about it's a shame. It's a shame to buy a +2 advisor, but that inflation reduction advisor is kind of worth it. And then, just like that, we got some nice luck for this event, giving us +200 to both admin and Diplo, which is pretty sweet. That's a meantime to happen event, which happens if you have both a Master of Mint and a Trader. And I think it can actually happen where you get it with admin or Diplo if you have a Master of Mint or Trader. But if you have both of them, you can get it with both admin and Diplo. Here you can see 200 to each, which is sick. Really happy about that. We lost a very small amount of Diplo there by my own mistake, but we were at like 820, so we lost only like 16 Diplo, very, very little. Still, I should have been on top of that. And taking up both techs for -10, considering global trade is going to increase the cost, -10 is a pretty good deal at the moment. And here I think I just talk about how I'm going to fish again for another Master of the Mint, because we need it, ideally. With that 8.79 inflation, Don't want to be spending our admin on reducing that if we can avoid it. Here I'm talking about how I want to release Wurzburg to convert it to Catholic and then return it. But also we need to, well, we don't need to, but I would like to annul his alliance with Castile. And then we ended up with a +1 Master of the Mint, which is much more affordable, so I definitely don't regret taking that +2 advisor. He costs like 65 ducats, but for 200 admin and diplo, so worth. Here we can see Thuringia has access through Denmark, which I didn't have, but luckily he did give it to us. Really awkward how that can happen. And I'm kind of desperately trying to acquire some war score from catching those troops, because we don't have taking war score. And with all those forts in Castile and so on, it's going to make this war take a long time. I was hoping we could just peace out Saxony without having to deal with Castile. But considering Sweden rather, is progressing nicely in a fort in the Iberian Peninsula, but also we're sieging back Brabant's capital. I'm hoping that we can peace out here in a moment, especially if I catch that 6k. Now that he's trapped himself in Sweden, he's got nowhere to go, really. And this Saxony obviously has very low enthusiasm, so our war score will go much further. And here I make a bit of a compromise, because I don't think we're going to get any more war score anytime soon. I just want to get out of this war, so we're going to give Wurzburg only the 1 province as opposed to 2. But he still is going to be up and running as an independent prince. And Saxony is under 100% war score now, so hopefully in the future we can enforce religion on him directly. We also annulled his alliance with Castile, so that war will not be that hard to win, hopefully. So I think this episode's coming to an end here soon. Let me bring my mouse out to see. Oh, there's another 5 minutes to go. I definitely am talking about how we're going to convert that province of Wurzburg. I don't know what else I'm talking about apart from our troops are now trapped once again on the Western Front. And what I plan to do is at any stage declare on Perm, fight that war. When we're at war, we can move our troops back across. Oh yeah, I'm actually talking about the Protestant League. I remember this. I was just talking about how this upcoming war, a lot of the YouTube comments have been speculating this is insane. This Catholic versus Protestant League war. I think it's going to involve everybody. Like, with the exception of Scotland, who's a 1 province mine, and these 2 Irish nations, I think it's going to involve everybody in Europe, but also, I mean, more than Europe. I mean, look at Muscovy and the Ottomans pushing out east. It's absolutely insane. Obviously, the Papal State is not involved in the league, but I discover here very soon, by checking now that we have 10 favors, he will help us in an offensive war against Bohemia and a few other nations as well. So I'm confident that the Pope will help us in an offensive war, but also, obviously, he will help us in a defensive war. So the Pope will also be involved in the Protestant League War, which is very good for me because he's tough as. Both Lithuania and Tambov are fully annexable, but I will have to fabricate against them. So here I'm talking about this will be our next war, certainly. Next episode, I said I was about to declare it then, and then I changed my mind because we'll wait for that missionary to finish. So you can't return provinces while you're at war, I believe. And here a war breaks out in the Empire, which is a bit of a shame. The Empire's been quite peaceable of late, but we're making positive imperial authority even while there's war inside the Empire, so that's pretty cool. So I think, yeah, I mean, let me just apologize again for this mistake, guys. I'm yet to review the footage of the current footage that I'm recording to actually see how this turns out. But I mean, there's nothing I can do. Like I said, I hope you guys understand. Like, again, this technical stuff can just be so irritating. I mean, I didn't even unplug my microphone. I didn't do anything. You know, I just hit the record button and it records fine. Here, we can see I realize that the Pope will help us in offensive war. Yeah, I hit the record button and everything's going fine. And then I record the episode. I look back. Usually when I'm setting up and I haven't recorded in a while, or I'm doing something different and I change my settings, then I'll quickly review the footage like a test shoot to see if things are working to my liking. But after recording video after video after video after video, there just seems like, why would something randomly go wrong, you know? Quite frustrating. I'll try to prevent that from happening in the future, and I hope you guys understand. We'll see here shortly how this turns out, or at least I will. If you guys are seeing this, I've already uploaded it, obviously. And yeah, for the reason I talked about my throat, I'm only limited to recording about 1 episode a day nowadays, even though I do want to record a little bit more than that so that I can get ahead and work on other stuff as well. So forgive me for that, guys. If you have big hype for things that I'll be doing in the future, not much going on at the moment, to be honest. We just released Wolfsburg there as another prince, and I think I'm actually wrapping up the episode now. I'm just going to be talking, probably saying a lot of things that I just said then to kind of wrap up the video. Oh yeah, I'm talking about how Novgorod's hurting for admins so much, even though he did core up the land we gave him, so he should have no problem coring up Perm as it's slow development. But let me know in the comments, guys, the early birds who see this tomorrow, should we integrate Novgorod and switch him out? I'd really like to get that reconquest there, we can see, but the French-Danish alliance has been a real thorn in our side. It sucks that we haven't really smashed Denmark already, honestly. But that alliance, man, with France is just brutal. We could certainly switch him out for Perm, feed Perm a bit, and integrate him as well to give us the actual CB and begin expanding out into Asia. These provinces are really large, but also low development. I think probably actually keeping Muscovy as a small ally to colonize would be pretty cool. A small subject, rather. Either way, there's 15 seconds left on this video, so sorry again for that, guys. Hope you understand, and I hope you enjoyed nonetheless. Either way, I hope you enjoy the upcoming episodes, and thank you for watching.